There is a state of emergency in the WNBA right now. Their only star, their cash cow, the only player capable of capturing interest from people who aren't identifying as they, them. Caitlin Clark is out for a minimum of 2 weeks and possibly longer with a quad strain.
Star appeal. 2 days ago, the Indiana Fever announced that Caitlin Clark will be sidelined for at least 2 weeks, and the league's entire operation unraveled faster than Angel Reese's layup.
If there wasn't any worry going on in the WNBA executive offices, if there was no worry, oh, people aren't going to turn off, oh, people are still going to show up, if that was the thought that they were having up there in WNBA La La Land, well, now might be the time to hit the panic button.
The Chicago Sky's game at the United Center saw a shocking 71% drop in ticket sales in just 1 day. Fans are now demanding refunds, canceling their travel plans, and selling tickets at major losses. The league had moved games to larger arenas, counting on Caitlin Clark's star power to fill seats, but now they're scrambling as those seats sit embarrassingly empty. And what about the so-called Angel Reese effect everyone keeps mentioning? Hate to break it to you, it doesn't exist. Let's all send some love to Caitlin by commenting, "Get well soon, CC," down below. She's the one keeping this league alive.
48 hours after news hits that Caitlin Clark is injured and she'll be missing 2 weeks, the market has responded and the market has told the WNBA, we don't want this. We want her, but we don't want this.
Do you know what happened the moment Clark's injury was made public? Fans began panic selling their tickets faster than Angel Reese bricks shots. The Chicago Sky had thought they'd made a savvy move by shifting their June 7th game against the Fever from their usual arena to the United Center, home of the Bulls. They counted on Clark's ability to draw big crowds and premium ticket prices until sales plunged 71% in a single day. Now, with empty seats glaring at them, fans are demanding refunds, canceling travel plans, and dumping tickets at massive losses.
The reality is, at this point, we don't know how much time Caitlin Clark is going to miss. If it were up to Uncle KC, Caitlin Clark would miss the remainder of the regular season, so jealous, entitled players in the WNBA can be reminded that no one is watching for them. No one is staying home on a Saturday afternoon to watch Natasha Cloud. Outside of Vlad Pooter, no one's buying tickets to see Bob Griner, and no one, I mean no one, is paying to see Angel Reese attempt to play basketball.
Within hours of Caitlin Clark's injury announcement, hopes for a record-breaking crowd at the United Center crashed harder than a wide-open Angel Reese layup. Ticket prices for that game nosedived from $86 for entry-level seats to just $25, a staggering 71% drop in 1 day. The Chicago Sky went from expecting a major payday to bracing for rows of empty seats before the game even tipped off into...
When it comes to the Chicago Sky game, the marquee matchup in the WNBA, like it or love it, rivalry or not, Chicago Sky, Indiana Fever, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, that is the marquee matchup in the WNBA, and those tickets are crashing just as well. From $86 48 hours ago to $25. And by the time June 7th rolls around, it might cost you a bag of Skittles and some Lay's potato chips.
Fans were suddenly forced to make tough choices, exposing just how much Clark truly means to the league. One devoted supporter canceled both his flights and hotel bookings for the Connecticut Sun vs. Fever game in Indianapolis, saying, "We're Caitlin fans before we're Fever fans. She's the main attraction. That's who the girls want too." See?
That's who the girls want to see.
A majority of these are everyday, normal people who watch Caitlin Clark in Iowa, watch her in her first year in Indiana, said, man, I want to watch that. I want to go to those games. I want to experience that. They won't be able to experience it. Time to sell. Families that are going to be driving a state over, 2 states over, commuting 4 hours, getting a hotel room, paying for parking, paying for this, they're not doing that anymore. People from flying across the pond, they're not flying across the pond to watch the Indiana Fever. Stop it, WNBA. They're flying across the pond to watch CC22.
The Washington Mystics found themselves in the exact same situation. They had moved their game against the Fever to the larger CFG Bank Arena in Baltimore, betting that Clark's presence would sell those extra seats. But once the injury news broke, Ticket prices tanked from $41 to just $22, a 47% drop that turned their big gamble into a financial mess.
Prices to games over the next 2 weeks have dropped 42% since Caitlin Clark's injury announcement. An average ticket price of $137 all the way down to $80. People are selling their tickets, definitely can't get face value, so what do? They just continue to lower and lower and lower and lower and lower the price. This isn't all resellers, folks. Hate to break it to you. A majority of these are everyday normal people.
Pick data revealed just how severe this collapse truly was. Average ticket prices for the 4 games Caitlin Clark was expected to miss dropped from $137 to just $80. This wasn't some small market shift or seasonal dip. It was a full-blown crash. Teams that had banked on Clark's popularity were now staring at half-empty arenas and flooded with refund requests from frustrated season ticket holders. The situation exposed a harsh truth the WNBA hasn't wanted to face. Their recent surge in popularity is almost entirely tied to one player. The financial fallout was immediate and undeniable, proving Clark isn't just another standout athlete, she is the main attraction. She's the reason casual fans buy tickets, plan weekend getaways, and tune in to watch and review. Meanwhile, Chicago Sky fans had to be asking themselves a tough question. Why doesn't their own so-called superstar generate this kind of buzz? Angel Reese's presence hasn't caused ticket prices to spike, altered travel plans, or led to games being moved to larger venues. The difference is stark. When one player's absence leads to a league-wide financial dip, while another's best performances barely move the needle, the contrast is impossible to ignore. The TV ratings back this up, and it's a reality that should make every other WNBA player uneasy. In the 2024 season, Clark was responsible for 26.5% of all league activity, including attendance, merchandise sales, and television viewership. That's one player driving over a quarter of the league's total.
Angel Reese, Under Pressure. When you think about it, there have been so many classic songs written about the WNBA dump. Obviously, Under Pressure by Queen and David Bowie, which directly applies to what Angel Reese and her colleagues are going through right now. An immense amount of pressure to carry this dump of a league while Caitlin Clark recovers from a quad strain.
The TV numbers reveal an even more striking truth. Of the 23 WNBA games that hit at least 1 million viewers this season, 20 of them featured Clark. Let that sink in. Without her, the league can't even come close to matching those numbers. Games with Clark averaged 1.178 million viewers, while the rest of the league averaged only $394,000. That's not just a difference. It's a canyon-sized gap that shows exactly who fans are tuning in for.
With Caitlin Clark injured, the WNBA will be reliant on their other stars to carry the league. I'm not just talking about ratings. I'm not just talking about attendance. The WNBA will be reliant on their other stars to maintain the interest of the mainstream. With Angel Reese being the only player with mainstream name recognition, most of the pressure, it is going to be on her to perform. And we have plenty of evidence that proves Angel Reese is not qualified to carry the league.
Scheduled nationally. Televised games around Indiana Fever matchups are now facing the harsh reality of plummeting ratings without their guaranteed audience draw. ESPN and other major networks built their entire WNBA programming strategy around Caitlin Clark's star power. In 2025, 41 out of 44 Fever games will air on national television, the most for any team in the league. Networks structured their schedules and ad campaigns with the expectation that Clark would consistently deliver strong viewership. The only 3 games that crossed 1 million viewers without her, they were either playoff matchups or season openers with huge marketing pushes. In contrast, regular season games featuring other hyped players barely hit 300,000 viewers, even on good nights, while Clark routinely doubles those numbers with ease. Angel Reese can rack up all the double-doubles she wants, but her games still bring in the same underwhelming viewership the WNBA has struggled with for years.
People might be saying, oh, well, the teams aren't really going to suffer. They already sold the tickets. No. You don't understand. If the Chicago Sky moved into the United Center, and let's say resale-wise, they sold all 19,000, well, when only 9 to 10,000 show up, they're losing merchandise sales, they're losing food sales, they're losing beverage sales, they're losing big. They took a big gamble to get into that arena, and they're losing big because it's not going to be full, and those people aren't going to be buying things.
Injury has unintentionally created the perfect real-world experiment to see who truly moves the needle in women's basketball. And the data speaks loud and clear. Clark attracts casual fans who don't tune in for anyone else, regardless of media hype or manufactured storylines. You can create all the rivalries you want, but you can't fake the kind of star power that pulls real viewers. The idea that a rising tide lifts all boats only works when Clark is in the water. Without her magnetism drawing fresh eyes to the league, the WNBA reverts to being background noise, something most sports fans overlook. Now, networks are learning this the hard way as they scramble to fill empty programming slots and deal with frustrated advertisers.
2 weeks ago, last year, if you wanted to get a glimpse of Caitlin Clark, try to get that autograph, it would have cost you $300 to get in the building. It would have cost you $200 to get in the building, $500 to get in the building, and then you got to fight to get close enough. Now you have a pretty good opportunity. $25 to get in the building. Let me make my way down because nobody's going to be there. Hey, Caitlin, and she loves her fans, so she's gonna sign. She loves her. Hey, Caitlin, I came all the way. Can I get an autograph, please? It sucks you don't play. Oh yeah, sign. So for those that are looking for a Caitlin Clark autograph, now might be your best chance to get that at a reasonable price. I'm just saying.
And remember all that talk about the so-called Angel Reese effect? This injury has blown that narrative apart. Reese had previously minimized Clark's role in the league's growing popularity, suggesting that the WNBA's rise was the result of multiple stars coming together. She painted a picture of shared credit, where everyone was equally responsible for the league's momentum. But this setback has revealed what many already suspected. The league's boom isn't a group effort. It's a Clark-led phenomenon.
My inside sources are telling me that Mama Reese demands free tickets. The Chicago Bravado, they happily oblige because they're also giving away free tickets to the other dozen or so people that show up to the arena.
Remember?
But when Clark went down with her injury, where exactly was this so-called Reese effect that was supposed to keep fans interested? The Chicago Sky's ticket sales for non-fever games stayed exactly where they've always been. Flat and forgettable. Even in her own city, Angel Reese couldn't move the needle. If she truly had the star power people claim, you'd expect Sky fans to show up in force to support their hometown star when Clark isn't in the picture. That didn't happen.
Angel Reese is now quoted as saying, "I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we're watching women's basketball is not just because of one person." She refuses to say Caitlin Clark's name. "It's because of me too, and I want you to realize that."
Reese's social media following might look impressive on paper, but millions of Instagram followers don't translate to sold-out arenas or strong TV ratings. It's easy to hit the follow button. It's much harder to get those followers to actually spend money on tickets or tune in for a game. When it comes down to it, the numbers speak clearly about who fans are willing to pay to see. And it's not Angel Reese. Interview. Truth is hard to ignore. Reese needs Clark far more than Clark needs Reese. Their rivalry only captures attention when both are part of the story. Without Clark, Reese's games fade into the background, blending in with the rest of the WNBA's routine matchups. The Sky vs. Fever games were compelling not because Reese alone drew interest, but because of the contrast between the two stars. LSU fans might have followed Reese into the pros at first, but they're not lining up to watch her play a midweek game against Connecticut or Las Vegas. College loyalty has its limits, especially when fans are asked to pay professional-level prices for games that don't deliver the same thrill.
To remove Caitlin Clark from the equation, there's no reason for people to watch this league, which is why people haven't been watching Angel Reese throughout her career. Her final season at LSU, this was the pinnacle of her drawing power. Angel Reese was coming off of winning a national championship. She was making cameos in these atrocious rap videos with Cardi B and some girl named Lado. Now keep in mind, this was before her public image was tainted. This was before Angel Reese was playing the role of the villain. Her final season at LSU, Angel Reese was filling the arena to 88% capacity. On the road, it was significantly worse. She was averaging just over 8,000 a game on the road.
Injury created the perfect case study for who truly drives interest in women's basketball, and the results weren't even close. As soon as Clark was out of the picture, ticket prices took a nosedive and fan excitement disappeared. Meanwhile, games featuring only Angel Reese continued to see the same modest attendance and viewership numbers they always had, proving once again that she doesn't move the needle the way Clark does.
Rookie year with the Chicago Bravado. The numbers were eerily similar. It was around 88% capacity. Angel Reese averaged around 8,700 a game. Going into 2025, Angel Reese was the only star in the secondary dump unrivaled. For the first time in her career, it was her opportunity to prove that she could draw. It was her opportunity to prove that she did not need Caitlin Clark to draw an audience. What was the end result? Unrivaled averaged 221,000 viewers.
The league is quickly learning a tough but necessary lesson. You can't fake star power with media coverage or social media hype. You either bring in crowds or you don't, and the data makes it crystal clear. The media can promote Angel Reese as a rising superstar all they want, but Clark's absence made it obvious that Reese doesn't generate the same level of fan interest. There's a big difference between being well-known and being someone people will spend money to watch. In professional basketball, fame doesn't equal drawing power.
Angel Reese. She's great at creating stories. She knows how to manipulate the media. Girl, if this dump don't give me a raise, I'll refuse to play. We gonna clap back at them haters. We gonna tell Adam Silver to give us our bag. Yeah, Adam Silver is gonna give you a bag. He's gonna give you a grocery bag and tell you to load it in the person's car who actually had the money to buy the groceries.
Indiana Fever faced their toughest stretch since drafting. Clark, can they hold things together without their franchise centerpiece for at least 4 games? The team, which averaged 90.2 points per game with Clark leading the charge, now has to find ways to score without their top playmaker and scorer. This isn't just about plugging in another guard. It's about rethinking their entire approach on both offense and defense to stay competitive in her absence.
I think we change how we play. I think we change what the emphasis is, right? Our off-ball actions as opposed to some of our on-ball actions. When we get to our on-ball actions, utilizing our personnel in a different way. You might not see as much of AB getting the ball on a dive and a pick and roll as you would in some of the other off-ball screening actions that get her to that point. Or where our shots come from. A lot of times with C and the ball in our hands, our shots are coming up off the break, right? Now we might get the ball moving inline to inline when we're moving it side to side. So I don't think it changes how we play. I think it just changes the emphasis on the actions that we get to.
Chelsea Mitchell now steps into the spotlight as the veteran expected to carry the scoring burden and manage the increased defensive pressure. With defenses no longer locked in on Clark, Mitchell becomes the top priority for opponents. She'll face more double teams and tighter coverage, forcing her to make faster decisions and find scoring opportunities in smaller windows. Last season, she averaged 19.2 points per game. But with Clark out, that number needs to push closer to 25, and she must stay efficient while doing it.
I also think it's a great opportunity for Caitlin to watch the game from the sideline and to grow in almost like a coaching kind of mindset and see some different things that we might be talking about on film, addressing in practice to see it develop in live action.
Aaliyah Boston becomes the anchor in the paint. With Clark's perimeter shooting gone, opposing teams will likely crowd the lane, daring the Fever to beat them inside. That puts more pressure on Boston to finish through contact, grab offensive boards, and find ways to score in a packed paint. She'll face tougher matchups, but her post presence is now more critical than ever. The Fever coaching staff faces a tough decision. Do they stick with the fast-paced offense that Clark thrived in, or shift gears entirely? Without a guard who can push the tempo and control the game, their signature speed may no longer be sustainable.
So many things when you think about Caitlin and her not wanting to miss games. Obviously, she's a competitor and wants to play. Obviously, everyone wants to watch her play. But for me, it's maintaining perspective, right? It's making sure that we address this in a way that doesn't affect long term, that we take care of it. Don't over push, don't overexert, making sure that we take the long game approach to this, so that we're not having lingering issues throughout the course of the season. And I'm glad that, sometimes great players don't tell you when they're hurting. I'm glad that she did, because we need to nip this in the bud.
Like Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham are getting their chance to step up, but early signs show just how big the void is without Clark. Hull must knock down outside shots to stretch defenses, while Cunningham is tasked with creating more plays, a role she's not typically asked to fill. The reality is hitting hard. Staying around 500 may be the best they can hope for until Clark returns. What were supposed to be momentum-building matchups against Washington, Connecticut, and Chicago are now must-win games just to stay afloat. If the Fever can't hold the line, they risk falling out of contention before their star player is even back to rescue the season. This was a tough wake-up call. The WNBA just learned what happens when your entire growth plan hinges on one player, and that player goes down. Caitlin Clark's injury exposed an uncomfortable truth. The league's recent rise isn't built on a solid foundation. But it also confirmed something undeniable. Clark's value to women's basketball is unmatched. When she returns, fans, networks, and teams will recognize just how much she elevates the game. The Fever need her back quickly to stay in playoff contention, and the league needs her healthy to keep the momentum alive from what was supposed to be a breakthrough year. Let's all wish Caitlin a fast and full recovery by commenting "Get well soon" CC down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. Tap the video on screen, and we'll see you in the next one.